What's up, Dave?
Doing awesome. Doing unbelievable, actually.
Doing unbelievable?
Yeah. Covers you either way, doesn't it?
It does.
Good or bad?
Good or bad. It's unbelievable.
Yes, sir.
So the funny thing I was just thinking about, just coming up the stairs after I grabbed my water, is when I met you, I was known as the IT guy.
Yeah.
I think that's what they called me around the office.
With the glasses.
I was Dale the IT guy. Back when I did internet marketing around the office, they called me IT. So you and I were both in the speaking industry. I dipped my toe in. You were all the way in. I was on the managerial side, and you were a speaker and a promoter.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Where'd you come from?
1995. I had an opportunity to get introduced to Tom Hopkins, the great sales trainer.
The great Tom Hopkins.
The great Mr. Legend Tom Hopkins, yes.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, I think Tom Hopkins' fame has waned a little bit. Yeah. But Tom Hopkins is no joke. 35 some years, top bestseller, How to Master the Art of Selling. It's still to this day my favorite sales book.
Yeah, I did door-to-door sales in college, so I funded my way through school knocking doors. I knocked 100,000 doors in 4 years. And the funny thing is I picked up his book to get some strategies in which to stay motivated. But the thing I loved about Tom Hopkins is his nuts and bolts skills-based teachings. It's nice to get motivated in the fluff, but he had, here's what to say, here's how to say it, and I love that. And I still use some of his information today. But yeah, I spent about 7 years with him after college. And then after that, I kind of went out on my own and promoted a lot of different speakers and did a lot of speaking myself. So yeah, it's a good run.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a good run. So you're no longer the speaker in the sneakers. Right. What's Dave Behr doing these days?
Yeah, well, I think we need to clarify speaker and sneakers. I don't know if they're going to think I'm crazy or not, but I think it's important that you stand out in an overcrowded marketplace. And so I had a goal to be the one of the best speakers in the world. And I realized there's a lot of stiff competition out there. So I decided I was going to be the greatest speaker in sneakers. And so I threw on a pair of Chuck Taylor tennis shoes with my suit. And everywhere I'd go, I would get lots of reactions. Some people didn't like it. Some people loved it, but everybody remembered it. And I think that's the key to being successful in an overcrowded marketplace, being memorable.
Mm-hmm. It's like branding yourself.
Yeah, of course. And, I certainly got a lot of dirty looks, but there were a lot of people who really, really liked it, especially after you spend some time with them and then they go, oh, okay, this makes sense. So it's good.
It's like, I think it's popular now. Like a lot of people do it now, but back then you had to have polish on your shoes to be taken seriously.
Right. I was ahead of my time.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So what are you doing now?
Well, after 25 years of traveling around the country, living in almost every major city in the United States, I promised
some multiple times,
yes,
right?
Correct. I promised my wife, now we have 3 kids. Max is going into first grade, and Cole's going to be in kindergarten, and then we have a 2-year-old. So I promised once kids were of school age that we would settle down in one city. And so we decided on Denver, Colorado, and I decided after thinking about it long and hard that the mortgage business was going to be for me. Because I'm entrepreneurial and I liked the fact that I could run my own business but not actually pay the bills like I had been, which is kind of nice. And I wanted to continue to do training. So I thought, what industry could I get into that training would be a benefit? And so there's a lot of lenders out there. So the question is, what can you do different, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd capitalize on my skill set of training and sharing ideas, and not only just training, but love doing it. My passion for training, I didn't ever want to give that up, but I didn't want to be the traveling dad on the plane all the time. So I decided on the mortgage industry, and I'm out there giving as much value as I can to realtors. So I'm not asking for their business. I'm trying to attract the business by giving first, service-oriented. The word deserve in Latin means from service. And so My mother was a social worker growing up. It's all I knew, to serve, to help, to give a helping hand. And so for me, it's a piece of me that I can't let go. It's just to help and serve others. And so it seemed like a good fit. So I'm enjoying it so far. It's been a good challenge in my first year, but I'm up for it. I'm excited.
Yeah. So it's June. It's June right now. It'll be July by the time this is out. 2018. So you're 6 months in,
Yes.
or so,
Yes.
to this new. You're like restarting your professional career, and probably a lot of people listening to this podcast have done something very similar. Especially a lot of residential real estate agents, this is their second, third, fourth, fifth career, and or job, or whatever you want to call it. What stands out to you now that you're 6 months in? What's different than you were expecting about the industry?
I feel like the timing that I got into it, people are telling me, oh my God, it's so tough out there right now. It's a crazy market. And so I just thought that was normal. And so I'm happy to know that that's not the normal, but I've kind of stepped in at a time that supposedly is tough. And so anyone and everyone who can stay consistent, stay the course, and just keep going, because you know why you're doing what you're doing. Once we get through this, it should be a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm excited to know that wasn't the normal, so to speak. But there's a lot of people, more people than I thought would be shopping around. And I think a lot of that has to do with maybe the relationships I have currently with realtors aren't super, super strong. I've got a couple, but the referrals aren't, hey, trust this guy. You just use them. It's, a Zillow lead that gets thrown to me, and then I have to, go through that, and then they're shopping 3 different people. And so I've been dealing with price and rates, and I think that's going to be in any market.
Sure.
So there's certainly strategies in which you can not wait for the objection, but to eliminate the objections. And one of the speakers I promoted, Weldon Long, he teaches a really neat concept on how to eliminate objections so you don't have to overcome them. And I've been sharing that with a lot of realtors around the country, and they really seem to appreciate it.
So that's the sales hallway concept.
Correct. So, and I've learned many ways to overcome objections over the years. And as we're progressing through the transitions of how sales is now versus how it was before, I love his concept of not waiting for the objection. So at the end, you have to put up your dukes and prove to them why they're wrong and you're right, and nobody wins. Even if you make the sale, you're going to be one and done. You're not going to get referrals. There's no repeat business in it. So he teaches a neat concept called the sales hallway, as you mentioned, which is basically pretending like you're hand in hand with a client. You're walking down the hall, and the top 4 objections you're going to get. They're standard. Costs too much. I can get it cheaper somewhere else. This realtor over here said they cut their commission.
Yeah.
Can you do that? So there's common objections that we all hear. And so the concept of thinking about your presentation, whether it's a listing or you're trying to get a buyer, just walking them down the hall as your presentation. And when you get to that door that says, can you cut your commission? The guy down the street said they would. Instead of letting them say that, why not, as the salesperson, as the realtor, bring that up yourself? Because if you don't, they're going to bring it up at the end, and then you got to do this. And so, I don't know. Do you want to role play? I give you kind of an example of it.
Sure.
So I'll be the realtor, and you play the client.
Okay.
Play however you want. You want to be tough on me, great. You want to be nice on me, that's okay too. But the neat thing about this process is you're in control, right? When I say you, me, I'm a realtor. I better be in control of the process. And so this is a process. So the process would be something like this. I would say to you, we're walking hand in hand down the hallway. Not really. It's just a visual. But we're walking down the hall, and there's the money door. And I would open up that door, and I would say to you, Dale, thanks again for the opportunity to list your home. I'm not sure if you guys have shopped around at all or interviewed any other agents.
Yeah, we talked to one agent yesterday.
Okay.
And we have another appointment. We're trying to nail it down. Probably going to happen Monday.
Great. Here's the cool thing about that. What did I know you were going to say? Only one of two things. Yes, I have, or
No,
I haven't. Those are the only two answers you can give me. So whatever answer you give me is fine, because the next part is, okay, yes, I've shopped. If you've shopped, then I know what? There's only 3 competitors. So if you're a realtor, don't worry about your competitors. Don't worry about the company name. Don't worry about their experience levels. Here's all you need to know. There's 3 competitors. Number 1, they're cheaper than you. Number 2, same. So their fee is the same. Number 3, you guessed it, more expensive, right? So there's only 3 competitors. So if there's only 3 competitors, why not just tell them? So you said, yes, I've shopped. I interviewed somebody yesterday. If you said that to me, I would say, I'll bet you found. There are 3 types of companies. One's more expensive, one's competitive, and one's a little bit cheaper. Because you've already shopped, they already told you what they were. Now you're, right? So, yes, I've shopped. I'll bet you found. No, I haven't shopped. That's the other answer you could have given me. And you think about it, a lot of realtors, they get down to the end of the presentation. What does the client say? Thanks for the information.
Yeah, we're going to look this over. I'll get back to you next week after we do our next appointment.
Right. You're the first person I've talked to.
That you didn't know about, yeah.
Can I call you next week after I interview 2 more people?
Right.
So, no, I haven't shopped. Let me tell you what you'll find.
Preempting it.
More expensive than me, competitive to me, and a little bit cheaper than me. And I always say a little bit cheaper, so it's not such a big gap. But so the formula is: have you shopped? Have you interviewed? Yes or no? Yes, I bet. Yes is I bet you found. No is let me tell you what you're going to find. Boom, boom, and boom. And then the next thing I'm going to do once I share with you what you found or what you're going to find is I'm going to share with you exactly where I am. You're going to find out anyway. So why not be proactive about it? So let's say I'm competitive to my competitors or my opposition in the market. So if I'm competitive, then I would say to you, I bet you found boom, boom, boom. And then I would say, I'm going to fit here. Good news, I'm not the most expensive. I'm not the least expensive. I'm going to fit right there in the middle. I wanted to help as many families as possible. So I decided to align myself with a company that was competitively priced. Boom. And I would just tell you. Now, if I was more expensive, maybe I have more knowledge, maybe I have better negotiation skills, and I'm worth a little bit more. If that's the case, and if that was the case for some of your audience members, I would just say, tell them. Tell them, hey, just so you know, I'm not going to be the least expensive. I do my best to be competitive, but I got to tell you, I may be just a little bit more. See, now it's positive versus you at the end saying, well, you're too expensive. I can get it cheaper down the street. Now I've told you, I've been honest about it. You didn't have to find out by shopping around. So what else am I doing here? The door across the hall is a shopping door, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So what did I just do?
You closed it.
I just eliminated the shopping door by telling you what you're going to find and what you found, and then telling you where I am. Now, and this could be a standalone idea, or this could be an idea that you tie into your listing presentation or whatever presentation you're giving. But I love telling my story, not my company story. And the reason I like that idea is because you and I can reject a company real easy. It's harder for us to reject a person. Mm-hmm. So I think what a lot of realtors are missing an opportunity to do is to share their personal story, to make it tougher for the client at the end to say no. Because a lot of people are sitting on the fence at the end.
It's similar to if some people hide behind their email. Easy to say no to an email.
Right.
Harder to say no over the phone. Even harder to say no in person.
Right.
And same thing with, it's easy to say no to this massive big company. Harder to say no to a local company. Even harder to say no to a person that's sitting right across the table from me.
Right. So let me share with you. This can be a standalone idea, or you could tie it into this presentation that we're kind of running through right now, role playing. But I'll kind of do it as a standalone. A lot of people, and I've seen a lot of trainings, offices that I've been into, and trainings I've looked at to see what they're doing and what they can improve in, and it's pretty standard that most companies have this: tell them about your company. And the reason they do that is because they want to increase the credibility of the organization, which I agree with. What I don't agree with is telling them about your company versus your story. So let me give you an example. Let's just say, let's go back to this presentation where I say, I'm going to fit right here. I'm going to be competitively priced.
Sure.
What I'd probably say to you next is, oh, by the way, I could work for any real estate office in town. And that's probably true of most realtors. But they picked a specific one. Well, why did they pick that one? And I found in asking realtors that question, they had a tough time answering it. So I would suggest if you're a realtor and you don't know why you work for the company you work for, it's a good homework assignment. Why do you work there? So you can tell that story. So here's how it would go. I could work for any company in town. Any real estate office would hire me. And, I did a lot of due diligence. I interviewed a lot of companies and I researched. And, after all that, I decided on this company, and here's why. And then the here's why is whatever it is. They're local, they're boutique, they take care of people. Whatever the reason is that you chose your company, that's where you can tie in your story. So I could work anywhere. I work here, and here's why.
And probably not commission split is probably not going to be a good story.
Right. Now, if there's realtors out there that have switched companies, which happens, you could also tie in that you switched. You would tell them that. So it might go something like this. Let's say I'm a realtor and I've been in the industry for 12 years. And let's say at the halfway mark, I decided to switch companies. So I would say to you something like, oh, by the way, I could work for any real estate office in town. I've been in real estate for about 12 years now. And about 6 years ago, I decided to make a switch. Before I switched, I did some research. I asked some questions. I interviewed other companies. And after all that, I decided on this company, and here's why. And then again, sharing their personal story. Now, the reason I love that is because what do people want to do that are shopping for real estate agents? Shop around, right? So what have I just eliminated?
You said I already shopped around.
I've given them, I've said I've shopped. This is my livelihood. I did my research. I had sleepless nights. And after all that, I decided on this company, and here's why. Now, if I've been with that company for 6 years, what are you thinking to yourself? When I switched, I must have made a good decision.
It worked out for you.
Right. So what does that do? It increases credibility for the organization without telling them about the organization.
Sure. You don't have to go into a big, long diatribe about the organization.
Well, a lot of people data dump on their client. Our company we've been in business this long, we're known for, and everyone's saying the same thing. What are you really doing to stand out and differentiate yourself? Nothing, right? So I think a great idea for the realtors that are out there listening is tell your story, not your company story.
So what else? So I like how you tied in. That was kind of combining the company story in a really smart way. It's not a data dump. Eliminates an objection that might come up before it even comes up.
Right.
What are some other things that you gain by telling a personal story versus a company story?
Well, connect. I mean, there's connections. Like, let's just say I wanted to go to work for this company because it was boutique and it was service oriented, and they don't believe in good service. They believe in white glove service, right? What if I shared that with you instead of just our company as we've been in business long, right? So it's finding ways in which to connect with people. So let's just say, for example, I mean, look, you could say the same exact thing about your company that you're saying now, but if all you did is say, I could work for any company, I chose this one, and here's why. You could say the same thing you're already saying about your company, but now it's coming from, like you said, it's a personal approach. Now, it's harder to reject a person than it is a company, as you mentioned. So I think that's a big benefit at the end, because a lot of people sometimes are still sitting on the fence. They could go this way or that way. So if that's the case, what happens? Well, if it's a company, they can say no. If it's you, all right, let's just do it. Right? Could be the answer, and that's an answer we'd love to hear.
So we talked about the story. We talked about maybe closing a commission size objection or a price objection.
Right.
What other things would you, off the top of your head, what other things come up that a smart realtor is going to close that door in that sales hallway or eliminate that objection before it comes up?
Yeah. Well, look, when it comes to objections, trust is the name of the game. Why is someone going to say yes, and why are they going to say no? The answer is trust. They either trust or they don't. So the reason I love bringing up the objections and whatever you want to call it, sales hallway, eliminate objections. When you bring it up yourself and eliminate it, instead of having them bring it up and having to defend, it creates trust. They just told me they're more expensive than anyone else. Huh. Right? Now there's confidence oozing out instead of, hiding behind, the fees, right? They're going to find out anyway. Why not just tell them?
Yeah.
It creates confidence. And with confidence is trust. For example, look, most people have read the book Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Now, in the book, it talks about, goals and what you want and all that. But when I think of habit 2 for me, begin with the end in mind, one of the things I thought about is salespeople are. And usually if you ask average consumers, fill in the blank, aggressive, dishonest, overbearing, watch your wallet, right?
Yeah.
So there's a persona that comes with our industry. So what I always like to share with realtors is don't make a sale. That's not your goal. That's not your end in mind. Make a sale, because we can all smell the commission breath there, right? So what if, and I challenge all the realtors that are out there, your next appointment, go into that appointment with a goal. And here's the goal. Your end in mind is to create trust, not make a sale. Yeah, we want to make a sale, right? But don't have that be your forefront. Make the sale. Have it be to create trust. Because if your goal is to create trust, how do you think you'll sound, right? How do you think the client will feel? And what will be the result at the end? People want to buy from people they like and trust. People don't want to go shop around to 5 different places. They want to find one person that they like and trust. And so one of the reasons I like the sales hallway or the eliminate objections is it creates trust, because you're being upfront about everything. So
Amy Cuddy, she's a researcher at Harvard Business School, and I can't remember the name of her book, but basically the concept that she teaches is, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, the thing you want to establish first is trust, and then you want to establish that you're competent. Competence is like the respect dimension. Can I respect this person? If you're competent, yes, I can respect you. But then trust is like, can I trust this person? If I can't trust you, but I think you're competent, then you're a threat.
Right.
You're dangerous. You're going to take me and take advantage of me. But if I first trust you because you're warm and you're honest and you're open and you're forthright, now your competence is an asset to the relationship and not a threat between you and I. So to establish trust, Amy Cuddy talks about, Dr. Amy Cuddy, by the way, talks about being warm first and foremost and being forthright with information, just like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure you're not making it up. It's actually it's
like
actually
doctor,
science. Yeah.
A doctor's
like a
verifying
real
this?
researcher. Yeah.
Well, I did graduate. It took me 5.5 years, but I did graduate, and it wasn't with a doctorate. But I went to Arizona State, so that's pretty good.
Nice.
At least I graduated.
Number 2 party school in the country.
Yeah. I worked 3 jobs though. I wished I could have shared with you some stories about parties at ASU, but I had a goal, and that goal was to graduate with no loans. And that's why I knocked 100,000 doors in 4 years and worked at Albertsons and did all I did. But look, if you want something bad enough, you know why you want it. It's easy to get. And your audience, here in July, they're going to be halfway done with the year. So we got to ask ourselves the question: how bad do we want it? Where are you, and what do you need to do to catch up? Because, I start my year November 1st every year. The reason I do that is because it's a mindset. A lot of people start January 1. So let me ask you a question. What do you think most salespeople do, realtors included, around November-ish, right? Holidays are getting ready to kick in, and they're behind on their goals. What do you think they do?
Oh, well,
they check out, right? Because they're going, can't wait till next year.
January 1.
What happens for 2 months? It's wasted,
nothing.
Right? So,
I got a clean slate January 1. It's holidays now.
Right.
I failed.
Yep. So the good news is we're not in November. Good news is it's July, right, for your audience, and they're halfway through. So if you're behind, ask yourself what you can do to catch up. If you're right on schedule, keep doing what you're doing. And if you're ahead of schedule, what should you do? Take a vacation? Well, I guess that depends on your goals. If that was part of it, great. But if not, what should you do? Reset your goal. You got 6 months. What if you can make an extra, $20,000 and go take your family on a vacation, whatever it is, right? So I would challenge, we're halfway through. How we doing? And then the last thing, I know we're cutting short of time. We talked about trust. And a lot of realtors have all these expenses, right? Advertising and this and that. But I would venture to say that lack of trust is our biggest expense. And so what can we do to create a little more trust with our clients? And so hopefully some of these things we talked about today were helpful.
I'm sure they were. Good. Yeah, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for your insight. So where can people find more trainings? Because I know you do videos and you do local trainings here in Denver and in Colorado. But for those real estate agents that are not in the area, where can they find more information about what you're doing? Yeah,
as you mentioned, I'm Dave Behr. So DaveBehr.com. I am the lender you can learn from. So I'd love to share whatever I can with you in hopes that it's helpful for their business, and we do share some ideas that can help people in their life too. So it's a little bit of a mix.
Great. So DaveBehr.com.
You got it.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for having me.